Hello viewers, we welcome you to the second part of the video film, Be an Entrepreneur. Today we find a lot of stress is being given to the promotion of entrepreneurship. Even the National Education Policy 1986 says that efforts should be made to divert a significant chunk of our graduates, especially those in the technical education stream, from wage employment to self-employment. Also, the new industrial policy for the small sector and tiny sector 1991 emphasizes the inbuilding of entrepreneurship development program into the curriculum of all vocational and other degree level courses. In this film, the presenter deliberates upon the need for promotion of entrepreneurship, especially in a developing country like India.
So now we shall discuss about the need for entrepreneurship. Why we want to promote entrepreneurship basically. Need for promotion of entrepreneurship. See, our country is a very developing country and has been facing acute and chronic problem of unemployment. Unemployment is a very big problem. In fact, our problem of unemployment is of such a large proportion that any quick solution is not feasible. It is indeed a paradox that although we have the third largest population of technical and vocational manpower, next only to USA and Russia, and we claim to be the 10th industrial power in the world, yet we had an estimated backlog of 33 million unemployed people. At the end of the 7th 5-year plan, out of which 1.4 million were educated ones. So unemployment is a very big problem for our country, and we have to remove this unemployment. So for this, entrepreneurship is the one of the answers. We want to divert a significant chunk of these people towards entrepreneurial career, so that they get employment and in turn they generate employment also for others. So to remove unemployment, we need to promote entrepreneurship. In fact, this need has been well recognized by the National Policy on Education (NPE) 1986. This policy says that we should try to divert a significant chunk of our youth from wage employment to entrepreneurial careers, because an entrepreneurial career is a better alternative career option. Similarly, the new industrial policy for the small scale and tiny sector 1992. This was announced in 1992, April 1992. It also says that we should try to promote entrepreneurship. In fact, it says that EDPs, that is the entrepreneurship development programs, would be inbuilt into the curriculum of various vocational and other degree level courses. So the need is there. And basically we want to promote small scale enterprises by promoting entrepreneurship. We want the person should start small scale enterprises initially, later on they can graduate to small, medium scale and the large scale sector. And small scale sector has certain advantages, as you might be knowing it. Some of them are, there are certain, certain statistics that the SSI, that is the small scale sector, which is not as small as it looks to be. It accounts for nearly 35% of the gross value of output in the manufacturing sector. So, SSI contributes in a significant way, and we want to promote SSIs by promoting entrepreneurship, right. Secondly, around 40% of the export from the country is through the SSI sector. So, there are certain very vital statistics as per the latest. Then the SSIs, they employ people, around 1.2 million people. The employment in SSI at the end of the 7th 5-year plan was 1.2 million people, which is roughly about 40 to 50% of the total workforce employed in the industrial sector. Although the capital invested in a small scale sector is merely 6.5%. The capital invested is merely 6.5% of the total capital invested in the industrial sector. Yet, the employment generation is 40 to 50% of the total employment in the industrial sector. And as you know that the number of products being produced by the small scale sector is around 5,000. So, the range is very vast. Around 5,000 products are being manufactured by the small scale sector. So, we want to promote this small scale sector. Then regarding the small scale sector advantages, first is providing high employment opportunities at lower capital investment. The SSI, it generates employment in a significant way. In fact, in one of the studies conducted in 1984-85, by ASSOCHAM, Associated Chamber of Commerce and Industry, they found out that in the industries which were having an investment of 10 lakhs, the additional 1 lakh provides employment to 4.5 persons. Whereas in industries which were having an investment of 25 lakhs, the additional 1 lakh provides employment for just 1 person. So, it is even smaller amongst the small, which provides more employment for the same amount of capital invested. So, if you invest certain amount in a small scale sector, that provides more employment as compared to the same amount invested in a large scale or the medium scale sector, right. The second is harnessing locally available resources and entrepreneurship. The another advantage of setting up SSI is that it uses the local resources. The local resources may be any. It may be locally raw material, locally available skilled labor, mineral resources, horticulture resources, agriculture resources. So, those local resources are being made use of by the SSI sector. So, we want to promote SSI sector, okay, na? And entrepreneurship. Also, we want to promote local entrepreneurship. We want the persons to go into, we do not want the persons to go into the rural areas and set up industries there. We want the rural persons themselves to set up industries in those areas. Means we should promote local entrepreneurship, and that can be promoted only by the small scale sector. That is why we want to promote entrepreneurship, because one of the biggest advantages of SSI is that it can be set up in rural or the backward areas also, right. Then third is balanced economic and regional development. Because the SSI can be set up in the rural areas or the backward areas also, so there is a regional development. All the areas get equally developed. The concentration is not only in the cities or the major areas or the major cities, but also in the rural areas, in the countryside part of it. Because we want that all the area in the country should develop, not merely the cities. Also the SSIs, the setting up of the SSIs, it reduces the concentration of economic power, because otherwise regarding the large scale industries, the large scale industries are very less, and the persons who are the in charges of the owners of these large scale industries, they are also very less. So the wealth is concentrated in a very few hands. We want the small scale industries to come up, so that there is a economic decentralization, right. So for the economic and the regional development also, we want to set up small scale industries. The next is reducing unrest and social tension among us youth. In fact, many of these problems are mostly because of the youth not being employed in a productive work. Students, they do the degree, they do the diploma, or they do other courses, and they are simply, idle. That leads to this unrest and tension. In fact, many of the problems which our country is facing today, Kashmir problem, earlier it was Punjab problem, they are all because of the, this is also one of the criteria. The people are simply idle. The students, the young blood, they are simply idle. So we want them to start the industries, and naturally they can start in a very humble way. So they can start in a small scale sector, and for that we want to promote entrepreneurship. Third is, last is innovations in enterprises. See, most of the innovations are being done by the small scale sector, because the SSI sector has more capability to innovate, because the investment in the plant and machinery is very less. So they can make the innovations and they can change the machinery. Otherwise, if you compare a small scale sector with a large scale sector, in a large scale sector the investment is very huge, very massive investments. So it's very difficult for them to change. Whereas in a small scale sector you can always change, you can always do the innovation and you can change. In fact, there is an organization in USA called National Science Association. National Science Association of USA, it has found that in a small scale sector, one research dollar, that means $1 is invested in research, produces 4 times more innovations than do one research dollar in a large company. So if we invest $1 in research in a small scale sector, so that produces 4 times more innovations as compared to the large scale sector. So they have conducted a study. So even for having more innovations, we want to promote this small scale sector. In fact, I am reminded of a quote from Mr. Ronald Reagan. He says that a healthy small business is more than a reflection of the national well-being. It is an active force for change. Half of all the major innovations in the past 30 years, mind you, half of all the major innovations in the past 30 years were generated in small companies. The result of all this innovative activity is new companies and more employment for our workers. The innovations are done more in the small scale sector, and the employment generation is also more in the small scale sector. So we want to promote small scale sector, and that can be done through promoting entrepreneurship, right. So not only to reduce the unemployment, of course that is the basic fundamental, but not only for that, but in addition to that, for doing all these things, so in addition to removing unemployment, for doing all these 4 things, we want to promote entrepreneurship.
Viewers, in this film you find that we need to promote entrepreneurship primarily to remove the poverty which is facing the country in her face. Also, for the socio and economic development of the country, we need to set up more and more small-scale industries. These small-scale industries play a pivotal role in providing high employment opportunities at lower capital investment, in harnessing the locally available resources and entrepreneurship, in providing balanced economic and regional development, in reducing the social unrest and tension amongst our youth, and producing more innovations.